to recognize our guest, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Our guest for today, we have Secretary Jose Ruperto Mardin Andanar, Undersecretary George Opasible, Undersecretary Marvin Gatpayat, Undersecretary Lorraine Marie Badoy, Undersecretary Jose Joel C. Egco, Assistant Secretary Michelle Christian Ablan, Assistant Secretary Joseph Lawrence Garcia, Assistant Secretary Ana Marie Paz Rafael, Assistant Secretary Omar Alexander Romero, Assistant Secretary Florentino Loyola Jr., Maria Alma Francisco from the budget, Dimi Operio, Mr. Aldrin Sumabat, Ms. Ana Marie Kalapit, Assistant Secretary Ryan Vincent Uy, Ms. Rhea Christine C., Ms. Grisha KZ Avehar, Ms. Eden Mendoza, Mr. Christian Vale Nerves, Mr. Keiko Fulgar, Mr. Carlo Tiangson, Ms. Caterina Delgado, Ms. Vanessa Fama, Mr. Gabriel Robles, Mr. Jaime Legaspi, Ms. Maria Angela Benecario, Mr. AJ Nguho, Ms. Angelica Simatu, Ms. Cherry Kureg. From Apo Production Unit Inc., Chairperson Michael Dalumpines. From the Bureau of Broadcast Services, Ms. Rachel Gatpandan, Ms. Maria Elizabeth Raimundo, Mr. Rodentor Domingo, Mr. George Arseno, Ms. Sally Cueva, Mr. Ariel Gumabon, and Director Rizal Giovanni Aportadera Jr. From the Bureau of Communication Services, we have Director Maria Florinda Princess Duque, Ms. Lilibet Taclan, Mr. Justin Ray Hernandez, OIC Corazon Reboroso, Mr. Dave Fugoso, Ms. Claudette Higwit of Intercontinental Broadcasting Corporation. From the National Printing Office, we have Director Francisco V. Valles Jr. and Attorney Rino Jeronimo Sagaral. From News and Information Bureau, we have Director Virginia Arcilia Agtay. People's Television Network Inc., General Manager Catherine Chloe De Castro, Attorney Raymond Sanchez, Attorney Jason Salendab, Ms. Marie Nicolas, Engineer Alexander Poncho, Ms. Myla Mamaril, and Engineer Hilario B. Malto Jr. From Philippine Information Agency, Director General Ramon Kualoping III, Ms. Girly Bangunan, Ms. Patricia Bulahan, Ms. Eufrosenia Gomez, Ms. Loveliza Peralta, Mr. Carl Louis Fajardo, Mr. John Patrick Matel, and Radio Television Malacanang, we have Ms. Dulce Amor Quintana, Executive Director Dennis Wilfred Pabalan, Ms. Eileen Arante, and Ms. Arina De Leon. That's for our guests, Your Honor.
Thank you. I thought you were not. I surmise that everybody and his uncle and his auntie are here and the in-laws are here. In any case, I'd like to welcome our fellow senators who are here. They're as follows: Senator Pimentel, Senator Marcos, and Senator Go. And thank you for attending the meeting. And of course, Senator Migs Zubiri. So we begin with the mandate. We begin with the mandate of the PCOO, which is to serve as a premier arm of the executive branch in engaging and involving the citizenry and the mass media in order to enrich the quality of public discourse on all matters of governance and build a national consensus thereof. Uh, in other words, it is the media arm of the government. Uh, According to Frank Shonil Jose, our senior press statesman, newspaper par excellence, newspaperman and author, and I quote, "We are shallow because our media are so horribly shallow. Every morning I produce the papers and there is so little to read in them. It is the same with radio, all that noise, that artifice." And he's complaining about it. That, he's a media person himself. Uh, I don't necessarily agree with all his statements, but certainly, if the government is going to have a media arm, it should really come up with a higher, values, good principles, and certainly with the end in view of making sure that information dissemination is attained, especially during times like this of COVID, and that it is not used for what they call fake news. I'm not saying it is, but I hope we have continued to go the straight and narrow. We give importance to the ability and the sincerity of our government media to provide our citizens with accurate and timely information on time, anytime, all the time. Media, the knowledge and the impressions it forms, shapes our nation and the quality and the kind of citizens that make it hopefully a respectable, knowledgeable citizenry who are advocates of democracy and liberty. And certainly a citizenry that is well informed would be able to have what we call discernment, the ability to be able to look, as one author before of Megatrends, I forget his name right now, is able to look at several media, instruments, print to TV and radio, and now the internet, to be able to discern what is the trend that is going on, and not just to set the trend, but to be able to make sure that information, particularly on the part of PCOO, on the part of government, is disseminated and properly, discussed. Our nation needs a reliable and credible state media. BBC in Britain has that. The Voice of America. There's a lot of foundations in other countries, and I'm not saying we should follow them, but nonetheless, it's always good that the media of the government may be able to state the position and the intentions of the government clearly upon its citizens, so that the citizens would not put it in a category as propaganda. It is so important that we do that. So a certain measure of independence and values have to be made, so that the credibility is not harmed. Because if we don't have a credible PCOO, then it's pointless putting a budget there. We may as well hire a PR person to do all the media for the government. But you are the government media, and therefore it behooves all of you to make sure that the radio, the TV, the printing that you have there, and all the people all the way to the countryside who act as information officers are able to maintain a high standard of information, education, sometimes entertainment, and certainly not propaganda. With the foregoing, we call on Secretary Andanar to discuss the agency's 2021 budget. We'd like to proceed post haste, and before I do that, I'd like to express my condolences to Secretary Andanar, who I understand your uncle just passed in Mindanao, and on behalf of the committee and the Senate, speaking generally, we'd like to express our deepest condolences on the passing of your uncle. Secretary Andanar, you have the floor. Please proceed. You have to unmute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the sympathies. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Senator Zubiri, Senator Pimentel, Senator Marcos, Senator Go. I am Jose Ruperto Martin Andanar, the Secretary of the Presidential Communications Operations Office. Joining me in this video conference are other officials of the PCOO and the heads of our attached agencies. Before we present the details of our proposed budget for fiscal year 2021, may we invite your kind attention first to a short audio-visual presentation featuring the highlights of the work that we do in PCOO.
There is no sound. Hello, Secretary Andalar, is there a sound in this presentation? Secretary Martin, Andalar, can you please fix your presentation because you're not going to be effective if we don't hear any sound coming out of your presentation. This has been coordinated. I think there is no sound. Uh, in which case, I suggest Secretary Andanar, you forgo that for a while until you can get it back. But in the meantime, go ahead and make your presentation. I'm sure you can do it while sleeping.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Presidential Communications Operations Office proposed budget for 2021 will focus on communicating truth and hope that better days are coming for the Philippines. May we have the slide, please, Casey? Slide number 2. The PCOO's budget for 2021 amounts to about 1.59 billion pesos, which we will use to communicate to the people as we recover as a nation, with the Duterte administration laying out the path for resilience and sustainability. This amount includes the appropriations for the PCOO proper, as well as our attached agencies and government-owned and controlled corporations. Next year, the PCOO will have an institutionalized Laging Handa crisis communications platform. Pioneered in 2016, the Laging Handa serves as a one-stop information platform for the Philippine government for keeping the public informed during crisis situations. Having this platform throughout all administrations that will follow will enable government communicators to be ready for future crises that may necessitate much coordinated and stronger communication efforts in order to provide extensive, timely, and reliable information to the public to prepare for, avoid, and respond to any man-made disaster, natural calamity, or infectious disease. The agency's 2021 budget is approximately 10% lower than the 1.76 billion pesos appropriations this year, as the administration is pouring more funds into the country's speedy recovery. More than half of this budget will go to personnel services, followed by the maintenance and other operating expenses, which get a 43% share, and the capital outlay, which accounts for only 5%. Next slide. The top agencies getting the largest share in the proposed budget for 2021 are the PCOO proper at 472.28 million pesos, followed by the Bureau of Broadcast Services at 405.5 million pesos, and the Philippine Information Agency at 317.6 million pesos. The Presidential Broadcast Staff Radio TV Malacanang will get the fourth largest piece of the pie with 178.8 million pesos, followed by the News and Information Bureau with 133.1 million pesos, and the Bureau of Communications Services with 68.6 million pesos. The National Printing Office will get less than 1% of the total proposed budget, as the NPO is not seeking Tier 2 funding. Its Tier 1 personnel services expenditures are based on the 2020 annual procurement plan. Next slide, please. This slide provides a quick summary of the 2021 budget for each of our agencies, categorized into personnel services, MOOE, and capital outlay. Among the agencies, the Bureau of Communications Services will get the largest increase in budget allocation by 13%, as we upgrade our printers to boost our publications that would complement our on-the-ground communications. To further strengthen the media coverage of the Philippine News Agency as our newswire service, we increased the budget of the News and Information Bureau by 5%, which will cover the purchase of its equipment and software. This is followed by the 3% increase in budget allocation for the National Printing Office at 11.9 million pesos, which will be used to augment its printing capacity, to adjust to and meet the rising demand of its clients. Among the attached agencies, those with the biggest reduction in their proposed 2021 budget include the Presidential Broadcast Staff, Radio Television Malacanang, followed by the Philippine Information Agency, the PCOO proper, and the Bureau of Broadcast Services, reflecting the new normal adjustments in government media coverage caused by the pandemic. The PCOO and our attached agencies will converge all efforts towards the Laging Handa platform as we zero in on defeating this pandemic, while we continue to not only inform the public of the President's efforts, but also to demystify various issues that concern our country. As a premier communications arm of the executive branch, our professional and systematic workflow that has been evolving for the past couple or 3 years will allow us to catch up with the private media in the Philippines and the rest of the world. To achieve this goal, the total new capital outlay to be spent by the PCOO amounts to 79.23 million pesos. 2/3 of the total will go to the PCOO proper to fund the Government Communications Academy, which will serve as a training ground for information officers of both the national and local governments. This facility will house a government TV and radio center, as well as housing facilities for personnel. The capital outlay fund for PCOO also includes provision for the purchase of ICT equipment and software to augment the capacity and potential reach of our communications campaigns. The Tier 2 budget under the PCOO proper will also cover the training expenses for our media research and development staff. Next slide, please. 16% or 13.50 million pesos will go to the RTVM to supplement its operations, primarily for the upgrading of its ICT equipment for presidential coverages. Next slide. To ensure that our messaging reaches the farthest corners of our country, we will continue to upgrade the radio systems of the Bureau of Broadcasting Services, allocating 5.24 million pesos for the procurement of ICT equipment, which will benefit all of its 28 regional stations. The next slide shows a mapping of state-owned radio stations nationwide, as well as their estimated reach. We go to the next slide, please. The mapping of state-owned radio stations nationwide. Likewise, the PCO will also upgrade the BCS's ICT equipment, including new printers to upscale its printing press worth 4.17 million pesos. Are we following the slides? AC, I think your slide stopped.
The slide hasn't caught up with it yet. The slides. Please proceed.
Can you go back to the previous page, please? Where we can show the mapping of PBS's presence nationwide. Yes, thank you.
Ilan yan? Ilan lahat yan?
Buong Portadera? Ilan lahat yan?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. 27 outside NCR, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Martin. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The 2.55 million pesos for PIA will cover the improvement of its parking space as well as the expenses for its perimeter. Slide 16, please. The PIA will also continue to strengthen its grassroots communications through its regional offices and provincial information centers nationwide. The NIB will also get new ICT equipment and software worth 1.77 million pesos to augment its existing assets, which will sustain ongoing efforts of the government's newswire in delivering the most relevant, accurate, and timely information to the public. Next slide, please. Here is a map of the Philippine News Agency's 16 provincial bureaus. The budgetary support or subsidy to GOCCs amount to almost 150 million pesos, which is split fairly even between our government-owned television and networks. This amount is more than half of the 356.1 million pesos subsidies given this year. 76.2 million pesos of this amount will go to the People's Television Network to support its continuing modernization program to improve its reach and quality of programs, while 73.7 million pesos will go to the Intercontinental Broadcasting Corporation to support its maintenance and other operating expenses, especially in this difficult time that distance or broadcast learning is part of the new normal. This brings the total agency budget and GOCC subsidy to a total of 1.74 billion pesos, which is 18% lower than the 2.11 billion pesos in this year's appropriations. Moreover, we will push for two key priority legislation next year to enrich our country's vibrant freedom when it comes to information access, along with the welfare and the capacity of our media workers. These are the Freedom of Information Bill and the Media Workers Welfare Bill. The Freedom of Information Bill seeks to institutionalize the FOI across all branches of government, directing them to disclose information on projects and other matters that involve public interest. The Media Workers Welfare Bill, meanwhile, seeks to provide media workers more access to terms of security of tenure, adequate health benefits, housing programs, and appropriate hazard and overtime pay, insurance, among others, especially in this difficult time. To end, please be assured that we will continue to build on our efforts of bringing the truth to the nation, along with our foreign audiences. It is our job to deliver accurate and valuable information with excellence, responsibility, and integrity to the Filipino people, so that they may be transformed into informed citizens and thought leaders who will partner with us in achieving President Duterte's legacy of providing a comfortable life for all Filipinos. Our objective remains bring hope to our people that better days are coming for the Philippines. That, Your Honors, is our proposed budget for 2021. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and we are now ready to take your questions. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
We now proceed with the senators who may ask questions. You're briefed on this already. I still have some questions, but I will let Senator Marcos, she came in first, ask the questions, the first questions. Senator Amy? Senator Amy there? She may be indisposed at the moment. We shall now go to Senator Go. Senator Go, are you there? All right. If Senator Go is not yet stepped out of his room, I now call Senator Pimentel, the former Senate President of the Senate, who may ask questions now. Go ahead, Senator Pimentel, please.
Mr. Chairman, good morning.
Good morning.
Our majority leader is online. Amy want to go ahead. Senator Subiri, you want to go ahead? I'll give way.
Okay.
Okay lang, sir. Sir Coco, we are both neighbors. Actually, we are both neighbors with Secretary Andanar. He's our region mate. So go ahead, Sir Coco. Go ahead,
Yes,
please. Okay lang po.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've read in the news that the PCOO budget encountered some problems in the House. ano ba ito? What is this issue about red tagging? Are we really involved in red tagging, which, in my opinion, amounts to propaganda? And our chairman earlier stated that the mandate of the PCOO is not to involve itself in propaganda. Mr. Secretary, may igso. Actually, is may igso. Ang sabihin nung kinakapatid, ang kanya pong lolo ay ninong ko sa binyag. Tama ba 'yon, Martin?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Igso. Tama po.
Igso. Say, can you tell us more? Has this been resolved? Kasi if may problema pa sa house, does this mean that you have a big obstacle still to surmount in the House of Representatives?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The question on whether the PCOO is red tagging people was already resolved because based on my conversations with the congressmen at the lower house, the PCOO as an institution has never red tagged any individual of this republic.
Just for
And
the
I say that
Mr. Secretary, excuse me, just for the record, I just wanted on the record, what is your definition of red tagging?
my definition of red tagging, Mr. Chairman, is when you accuse an individual to be a member of the Communist Party or the CPP-NPA. And number two, red tagging, in a sense that the PCO is involved in it, is means that the PCOO is using all of its official agency or platforms to disseminate such red tagging. So the PCO as an institution has never red tagged anybody. We can check with our PTV broadcasts, Radyo Pilipinas, and also check the Philippine Information Agency, Bureau of Communication Services, Intercontinental Broadcast Service, and even the Philippine News Agency. These agencies never red tagged anybody, Mr. Chairman.
Well, let me just ask a question in connection with the definition, with the permission of Senator Pimentel. If there's such a thing as red tagging, when I was in UP, they would call us, American boy or administration boy, which is equally bad, di ba? Otherwise, there will be no discussion. If we put people in a category, then he never grows, and that's what's wrong about red tagging. Because when you use that strategy, you are actually refusing to listen to them, or you're asking people not to listen to them, or you're telling them that they're in violation of the law. By the way, we have already repealed the anti-subversion law. So really, when you say red tagging, that was more associated with the anti-subversion law when the Communist Party was still outlawed at the time. Would I be correct in that description?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Does Senator Pimentel agree with that, or Senator Zubiri?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, but red tagging is worse because of the current atmosphere that, it might bring violence onto the persons tagged as active members of the Communist Party. That's the worry. I don't think any violence will come to a person called Amboy. He will be embraced by the people of the Philippines, as the survey says that 80+% of Filipinos love Mother America. That's the survey.
What I'm saying is both sides do engage in those sort of things, but I think the real value of the PCOO should be able to make sure that they're able to deflect that and make sure that a discourse is attained, which means that they invite people who are perceived to be left or left of center or right to engage in a discussion. Do you do that?
Yes, we do, Mr. Chairman. In fact, during the hearing last year, we encouraged the members of the Makabayan Bloc to contact, to use the government facilities. You know, the government media facilities is for everybody. It doesn't belong to just one person or to just one interest group, Mr. Chairman.
Hindi ka ba makabayan?
Well, Makabayan in a sense that I'm for the country I am, Mr. Chairman.
You see, that's the problem eh. That's my problem ever since in my UP days. You know, they would say makabayan, and if you're to describe their position, and the rest is not makabayan, lumalabas, no? And I'm not red tagging here. I'm just saying that these are propaganda tactics that are being used by all sectors, left and right, left or right. No? So I just want to clarify that before we go on. Go ahead, Senator Pimentel.
Maganda pagkapili ng pangalan, sir. Kaya
or sasabihin nila, progressive sila, which means we are not progressive.
yes.
Di ba?
At any rate, the answer of Secretary Andanar, I think, is as an institution, no? As an institution, the entire complex or machinery has not been used as a propaganda machine in red tagging. Siguro may insidente yata na maybe someone identified with your group. But then, Secretary Andanar, I think, mentioned a good point that he invited other government officials to use the government media network to also, let their positions known to the people. Because ito po napansin ko sa presentation ninyo, Secretary, you said that you are the communications arm of the executive branch. Kaya nga itatanong ko nga sana, will you open the machinery or the complex, the network to the other branches of government like legislators, mga ganon. And if yes, is there a plan? Would you communicate this plan with us?
Yes.
Again, with the permission of Senator Pimentel, last year, if you will recall, Secretary Andanar, I said the PCOO is not the propaganda arm of the president. It is the information agency. That's why you call Philippine Information Agency. It is supposed to let everybody know what's going on or the positions in the debate, for example, on what's before the Congress right now, the CREATE bill or the other bills, or for that matter, the debate on whether the government is able to do well in terms of the COVID situation. I think that's our point, and I think I can vouch for Secretary Andanar. I think he's very careful about that because I've seen some of their programs. They've been able to do so, but I think they should have a little bit more. Thank you, Senator Pimentel. Go ahead, please. Senator Andanar? Secretary Andanar, sorry.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, as a matter of fact, Mr. Chairman, we have been airing all of the budget hearings of the lower house since the budget season arrived. As a matter of fact, yesterday, the political event that happened in at the celebrity sports complex was also aired, and we didn't know that that was the reason for the request of the lower house to
So would you have credible information on who actually won the speakership?
I do not have, Mr. Chairman. I'm waiting for the. I think they have an exercise this 3 p.m., Mr. Chairman.
Because if you look at the headlines today, in one newspaper it says the speakership has not been determined. So anyway, go ahead. I'm just funning a little bit.
So okay,
I did not sleep a wink last night. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, so Secretary Andanar is telling us that it is more than your network is more than the communications arm of the executive branch. It is for the entire government.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. As a matter of fact, when I go around the country, I talk to when people talk to me and they lobby for some laws to be passed in Congress or for projects, and I tell them, why don't you lobby through your own congressmen here. For example, in Region 10, we have a few congressmen in Region 10. We have a couple of senators, Senator Subiri, Senator Pimentel, and I tell them that you do that lobbying, and then you inform the Philippine Information Agency. So all of the projects that the locals would want to have in the future, or a legislative agenda, can be funneled through communications using the government platform. So not only national, Mr. Chairman, wherein the lower house requested for the expertise of the PCOO to produce a C-SPAN like production, and we have been helping them. But also we are open for, and we have also been doing that in the Senate, Mr. Chairman, wherein important investigations were aired through the RTV and the PCOO and the other government channels, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. So ito, let's apply your thinking or your strategies to real life happenings. No? So, for example, there was an event yesterday at the Celebrity Sports Complex where some congressmen elected sino to? Congressman Lord Alan Velasco as the new Speaker of the House. I am told that PTV4 covered it. So, just give me the reason, why did you cover it? So, gusto ko lang po malaman na how do you decide on which events to cover?
Well, Mr. Chairman, the Philippine television, the People's Television operates like a private corporation. It operates as a government-owned and controlled corporation, and we strive to catch up with the private media. We strive to be a professional agency. So I do not micromanage the PTV. I allow Kat De Castro and Undersecretary Roque Ignacio to manage the PTV. I give them more leverage, a lot of elbow room, especially the board. I'm not involved in their editorial decisions. So GM Kat De Castro, having worked for private corporations like the ABS-CBN for the longest time, she manages it like a professional broadcast center, broadcast TV network, wherein we cover everybody. We do not side with any political force. So I am assuming that the GM decided based on the newsworthiness of the story.
Good. So it doesn't mean that the government broadcast agency was siding with anybody. It was a tama ba yun? Can we hear from Ms. De Castro, Mr. Chairman, to tell us how the decision making is being made at PTV4?
Go ahead,
Yes,
Kat. Go ahead.
Yes po. Good afternoon, Senator. Good morning, Senators. It's basically as long as it's newsworthy, we cover it in PTV. As to the incident yesterday, the one that happened in Celebrity Sports Club was cross-posted to our Facebook account by RTVM because they were the ones covering it. And to make sure that we appeared as fair, we also cross-posted the press con of Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano. What we did yesterday was send a reporter to cover Congressman Lord Alan Velasco and another reporter to cover Speaker Cayetano. So it's always balanced. We strive to be fair. We don't do angles. We don't do twists. We just report events the way they are. That's all, Senator.
But in the delivery of your news, try to avoid sensationalism. Baka kako na you feel some pressure to compete with the other news channels. You need attention. You need some sort of you use some shocking or provoking, alarming words to attract viewership or audience. So that's my advice, ma'am. Kasi I think your office received a letter from one of my lawyers.
Yes, Mr. Senator. May I say what happened po during that time, if I can?
Never mind. Just
Okay po.
answer my lawyer. Sinabi nyo, you're conducting an investigation. Just
Yes
inform
po.
us the result of that investigation.
Yes po, Senator.
Well,
Yes po. He also issued an erratum about it, Senator.
sige. Mr. Chairman, okay lang ba? Because I want to be educated. What is the relationship between the secretary and the board of PTV4? Hindi ko pa na-research kasi. Can this be explained to me? Kasi sabi ni Secretary Andanar, kasi autonomous ang PTV. Do you sit in the board, Secretary?
I do not sit, Mr. Chairman. I do not sit in the board, Mr. Chairman.
Who chairs the board of PTV4?
Ms. Kat de Castro, may I allow Ms. Kat de Castro to answer the question, Mr. Chairman?
Senator, for PTV, our chairman right now is Ms. Peng Alino. And we have other board members. All of the board members po are appointed by the president.
There are 3 corporations attached to the PCOO, PTV4, Apo Production Unit, and IBC 13. And this is only for budgeting purposes, Mr. Secretary, or you have totally no control or involvement, and you don't sit in the boards of these 3 attached corporations?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so kung mayroong pumutok na let us say issue about Apo Production Unit, dapat hindi ikaw yung biniblame doon kasi attached for budgeting purposes lang pala ito.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Apo is the corporation involved in printing passports, yun ba yun?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Medyo malalim-lalim ang rito issue, so just give I need time to study. How about IBC 13? Kumusta na? Which is more active? PTV4 is more active than IBC 13?
Mr. Chairman, IBC 13 has been more, relatively been more active lately because of the blended learning by the DepEd.
Good. Tama. Very good. Tama. You were using government broadcast facilities for blended learning. Tama yun. So just conduct a survey kung ilan po yung nanonood at saka saan ba umaabot yun. Baka andyan si OIC yata o IBC 13. Can you tell us more, ma'am? Corazon Reboroso, you're the OIC for IBC 13. Pwede po ba kayong magmayabang dun sa paggamit sa inyong broadcast facilities for our blended learning? Saan umaabot ito? According to survey, how many have benefited from your program? And have you double-checked the content that you're hearing? Kung accurate ba?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Secretary. Sir, the content of the DepEd programs are mainly coming from the Department of Education. They bring the material to IBC ready for ingest. So at the start of the school opening on October 5, we were able to fire our transmitter in Frisco at 20 kilowatt. And based on our data, we are able to reach portion of course, we are able to reach the Mega Manila, portion of Benguet, Pangasinan, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Tarlac, Bataan, Bulacan, Rizal, Quezon, Laguna, Cavite, Batangas, and Mindoro. We received good feedback. We saw it in our FB Insights. We reached as much as almost 4 million people reach and people engage. However, we really need to upgrade our technical facilities, Mr. Senator, because our provincial stations are operating at low power. So that's why we are requesting for a budget subsidy for the technical upgrade of IBC facilities.
So thank you, ma'am. So your facilities are in Metro Manila and you reach all the way to ano pinakamalayo mo nasabi Was it Pangasinan to the north and then Mindoro to the
Mindoro to the south.
Well,
Yes, sir.
wala tayong counterpart ng IBC 13 sa Ato, Secretary, sa Mindanao. Meron ba tayong planong ganyan din?
Sir, we have a station in Davao, in Cagayan de Oro, in Cebu and Iloilo. But we are operating at low signal, Mr. Senator.
So when you say low signal, anong radius nung signal nila? Mga 10 kilometers lang, gano'n lang?
1 kilowatt lang, 1 kilowatt, sir. So we are proposing to increase it to 10 kilowatts.
Anong practical ma'am? 1 kilowatt power of transmitter equals how far from the physical tower?
Sir, it's, perhaps around 50 kilometers.
50 kilometers. Okay.
So very, very small.
Halos LGU, vicinity or a cluster of LGUs.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but we are using them, and you're airing the same. You're airing the same material as IBC 13 Manila is airing.
Yeah. Yes, sir. We are transmitting via satellite, sir.
Okay, via satellite lang. Okay, so pag-abot doon, 50 kilometers na lang yung signal. Okay. So I get it.
So we have an arrangement with GSAT and Signal. They hook up with IBC 13, so they carry our programming for the FF.
GSAT and Signal. Signal is a subscription, right? Subscription po yun, right?
Digibox, sir.
Digibox. So binibili. Bibilin
yes,
din.
Yes, sir.
Binibili, okay. So, okay, Mr. Chairman, Senator Marcos is online, so I will suspend my interpretation and give way.
Please proceed.
I will still research on Apo, ma'am, Apo production.
I see.
And the other. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Thank you. Secretary, thank you for the answers, everybody.
Dr. Jaime is recognized.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. I'm so sorry. I've been struggling with the internet. I would just like to inquire about the largest part of your capital outlay, yung RTVM, for the procurement of ICT equipment. Does the office have a breakdown on this equipment? Exactly what will be done?
Mr. Chairman, may I ask Director Demic Pabalan to answer the question?
Thank you very much, Secretary Martin.
Director Pabalan, do you have an answer? Or should it be cut? Cut the Castro was the one who mentioned that he was asking for a subsidy. What is the subsidy for?
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I'm asking a question. Just a moment. Kat, you were asking for a subsidy for, is that for IBC or for Channel 4?
I think the question of Senator Amy Marcos is for RTVM po.
No.
Pero yung kanina. Yung kanina.
Sabi mo, nanghingi ka ng subsidy.
For PTV po, yes.
Sabi mo, mahina yung throw ninyo, di ba?
No, sir. For PTV, we need more budget po in terms of making our reach wider for the entire Philippines because as of the moment, we only have 13 stations all over the Philippines po. If we are given extra budget for it, then we can build another 20 stations to be able to be of service for the entire archipelago.
Hindi ba it's a function of power to be able to beam your signal? You don't need 13 stations. If you have a good signal, you can have one channel and it will be seen by everybody if you have good content, if you have good programming, correct?
Yes po, sir. Pero of course, there are some limitation in terms of our transmitters because some transmitters are only allowed to beam at 50 kilowatt. And if ever, we won't be able to reach other parts of the Philippines if we do that. The 30 stations that being proposed to right now came from our PTV engineering because they also have to consider the terrain of each area in the Philippines po, Senator.
With the permission of Senator Aimee, just one last question in pursuit of this.
Yes.
Why can you not get it from, you're building an academy. You're going to spend about 70 million there or how much? 73 million, right? Would that be sufficient instead of getting for a subsidy? I think it's like reaching for the moon right now because all the money is going to COVID. meron kayong budget sa paggawa ng academy, like I said to you the other day, you can use UP and ask UP to train your people, and you can use the rest of the money to increase the capacity or the power. Di ba? Is there an answer? Because you're asking for 49.4 million. Yun ba yun? Construction of the Government Strategic Communication Center. Yun ba yun?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. That's for the Government Communications Academy.
Yun. It's Academy. 49 million.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And did you pursue the suggestion that you have a deal with UP that you can get UP broadcast students media mass comm students to be part of that, to be exposed to the operations of radio and TV?
We have spoken to the Development Academy of the Philippines, Mr. Chairman, since we send our executives, our officials there for training. And that was where the idea came out, because apparently the Development Academy of the Philippines does not have a division that really.
That's not their strong suit, right?
Yes, that's
they don't
right.
even have a suit like that.
Yeah. So and with our experience, Mr. Chairman, for the last 4 years, there's also been a clamor to be able to train all the information officers down to the barangay level, because the barangays, for one, not all barangays are equipped or are capacitated to answer the media savvy, to be able to promote what they have. So we thought with DAP.
That's your
Pero
role. Yung
Mr.
local
Vice Chair.
government yun dapat.
Sorry,
Local
Mr. Chairman.
government yun. Kayo ang talagang centralized communication ang pinasabi ng gobyerno. So ang dapat ipatrain nyo, yung mga tao ninyo na involved in Bureau of Broadcast, yung kaya nga ginawa yan nung araw, saka yung PIA, kung may regular training yan, sa UP, and in exchange deal kayo na they can get internship by being exposed to the machinery of communications that you have. I think that might be money better spent than putting up your own building. You have to maintain that. You have to do all kinds of things. I think it's better put in having a deal with UP. In fact, you can even give UP a stipend for that from that budget. Would you be agreeable to that?
I believe, Mr. Chairman, that having had all of these problems of fake news, having all of these problems of miscommunication, especially down to the barangay level, I think having an institution that would really cater and focus just to build the communications capacity of our government workers, not only from the executive branch, but also the entire, including the LGUs. It's already an idea that is worth exploring, because
this is my last question, Senator Amy. Forgive me.
No problem.
You made a point of saying fake news. That's based on values and principles. That's based on the value and the culture of the station, di ba? Of the station management, to make sure that no fake news happens. And even for that matter, in the early days of your tenure, of your administration, you had wrong English, wrong geographic, statements. So I think it's more important na they get some courses at UP, a program where all your people can be trained vastly, so that it will be a vast improvement from what they have. Anyway, I'm just suggesting that because it might come out on the floor. Somebody might raise that, and I would need an answer for that. So,
That's right.
somebody raising a hand, again, with the permission of Senator Marcos, that is Ms. Badoy. Quickly, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I will again reiterate that in our experience of 4 years yung talagang napag-iwanan po talaga ang Mindanao. So maganda kasi if you put a training center there, it's really more inclusive kasi yung the consequences of Mindanao having been left behind pagdating sa communications have been really dire. So in our experience kasi yung sa PIA talagang napag-iwanan, talagang nalog, monoblock, ganon. So kaya po sir, yun yung gusto namin na sana makasali no, ang Mindanao. Yes sir.
Excuse me. This is a borderless world.
Yeah.
Di ba? You can broadcast all the way to Italy. You can broadcast to the OFWs. ABS-CBN does that, and I'm sure the government channel does that. So what you need is good content. And why will you focus on Mindanao when you can have the pamantasan ng Pilipinas meron sila sa Davao, meron rin sila sa Los Baños, meron sila sa mga branches where you can have an agreement with them. This is a suggestion. And this is bound to be asked, and I have to have a satisfactory answer. Quite frankly, that is my position. I've told you that before. Go ahead, Senator Marcos.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. And I'm in full agreement that Government Communications Academy, while required in Mindanao, if only for the dialect issues, kasi iba naman ang salitang Bisaya versus sa Luzon, talagang problema rin. Ngunit sa kabila nito at sa harap ng COVID, baka makisosyo muna tayo sa UP at iba't iba pang lugar. O di kaya, the other option would really be, without at the risk of being snide, would really be to hire all the unemployed media now. Napakaraming naasisante sa trabaho ngayon. Sa totoo lang, sa probinsya, yung mga stringers, yung ating regional reporters have all been laid off. I think there's really a wealth of broadcast talent right now out there, and we could simply hire them and they're ready to go. They're fully aware of local and national problems. It shouldn't be an issue. Actually, ito nga yung tinatanong ko, yung PIA will get the biggest allocation for its development communication program. Is this the same thing? What is the DevCom program of PIA? I'm sorry, was it discussed earlier?
No. Go ahead.
Down.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask PIA Director General Mon Qualupi to answer?
Hi. Thank you, Sec Martin. Good morning, Madam Senator, Mr. Chair. Good morning. I am DG Ramon Qualuping of the PIA. PIA's mandate is actually to go to the grassroots and develop communication platforms and content that would directly get us engaged with the grassroots. So, from a bigger picture, PCOO is an end-to-end institution. So PIA is tasked to go down to the barangay level, talk to the individuals, engage with them, Madam Senator.
Boss, di mo kailangan ipaliwanag yan sa akin. Panahon namin yun eh.
Sige po. So, ma'am, it's different po from the academy that the PCO is proposing. The budget, the bulk of the budget for development communications, really to finance how we do it on ground, Madam Senator.
No, the question is, DevCom, even as a subject taught in universities, has been largely debunked. Hindi na siya uso eh. Wala nang ang course yan sa iba't ibang eskwelahan. Bakit papasok tayo sa DevCom unless you have a really revolutionary idea na bagong-bago na involves all kinds of feedback mechanisms, transparency efforts, and interactive play. Kapag walang ganon, ano yung DevCom? Yun din ba yung makaluma na tinanggal na sa ating mga pamantasan? Wala na yun eh.
Madam Senator, that's the aim of the PIA, is really to solidify and improve our communication engagement with the grassroots, and that includes feedback mechanisms, development of materials, and from our point of view, Madam Senator, development communication is very relevant, especially in this time and age where communication has been democratized because of the internet, where everyone has been empowered to create his or her own content. Hence, I think TIA is very, very
Maybe
capable.
you can just give us a briefer in order to save time and tell us what are the components of this program so that at plenary, our vice chair will not have a difficult time sussing out what this old-fashioned development communications program actually is like, or maybe it's just an unfortunate use of nomenclature. Paki-breakdown na lang kung anong gagawin kasi parang sinauna pa yan eh.
Sige po. Ma'am, yes. Nandun pa rin tayo sa traditional form. That's part of it. We go face-to-face.
Bakit? Wag na. Ang mga millennial hindi na nakikinig sa traditional form.
Yes, ma'am. We agree. That's one. Another is to develop talaga the grassroots customized communication per area. We believe that developing communication is important.
How do you do that exactly?
We have
Customize when you only have 13 stations there. That's not even the number of regions we have in the Philippines.
Madam Senator, actually, the Philippine Information Agency has 16 regional offices nationwide. All regions in the Philippines except BARM, and we also have 77 provincial offices nationwide. That's why we are able to do customized and grassroots communication across the country. So, as you were asking, Madam Senator, aside from the traditional form of face-to-face engagement, we also tap the various social media capabilities such as Facebook.
Submit mo na lang. I-submit mo
Yes,
na
po.
lang. I'm hearing a lot of hackneyed phrases. I really would like to understand the nitty-gritty of this development communication program because it's so old-fashioned. It's sort of cute and archaic. Anyway, okay lang.
Yes, po.
Yung PCOO may allocation sa RTVM. Let's just discuss na lang the ICT equipment. Anong mga equipment ito?
Madam Senator, Mr. Chair, Damik Pabalan of RTVM.
Hi, yeah. You were trying to answer kanina, sorry.
Unang-una po, Madam Senator, ang RTVM po ang pinakamalaking decrease pagdating sa capital outlay. We have 74% decrease from last year. So ang natitira na lang po sa amin is 13 million. Yung 13 million po is for purchasing ng mga IT equipment such as yung mga laptops and other software.
So ang ibig mo sabihin, dapat mas malaki pa to, tuloy-tuloy from last year?
Hindi naman po. Actually, yung mga kinakailangan na for the next 5 years, nabili na po 2 years ago, bibilin po this year. Kasi we have around...
Kung ganun, tama lang na 74% decrease.
Yes po, ma'am. And also we considered yung mga nangyayari po ngayon, no? Yung mga proposals from different divisions, hininto po muna namin and sinuspend namin. Sabi ko po, bilhin na lang siguro after this pandemic, maybe after next year, 2022.
Okay na kayo dyan, pero anong bibilhin ninyo for 13 million? Yun ang tinatanong ko.
Mga laptop computers po. Laptop, mga nasa 8 po yun. May mga 8 units of...
Baka naimbestigahan na naman tayo ni Vice Chair Dick Gordon sa Blue Ribbon. Anong laptop yan? 8 piraso, 13 million.
Actually,
Masahol pa tayo ng million yan, boss.
Actually, 8 items, more than 8 units po. Per item, iba-iba yung number of units.
O sige, pakibigay na lang ng listahan. Pag narinig namin laptop, natatakot na kami. 300,000 million na naman siya. Okay, meron rin sa COA report, if I may, have you gotten rid of this? Baka lumitaw ito sa plenary 2019 COA budget, COA report on your budget. May media equipment dinonate ng China na were not recorded in the books. Naayos na ba to?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, yan po ay naiayos na po. Yan po ay naidala na sa record section at naipakita na po sa kanila ang mga donated equipment by the People's Republic of China.
Yes, thank you very much. Kasi baka lumitaw lang yan and I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't in the way. So, Mr. Secretary, last na lang, kung hihingi ka ng augmentation, and I really believe that communications is essential during this time of the pandemic, what would be your priority request?
My priority request, Mr. Chairman, would be to boost the transmitters of PTV and Radyo
Tulad nung
Pilipinas.
sinabi ni Kat kanina.
Opo.
Magkano yon?
Ms. Kat De Castro, sorry, ASEC Chris Ablan, how much was the budget that we drew?
Mr. Chair, 1 billion po.
Do you need to boost everything at the same time? We are very aware that COVID is in fact a metropolitan or a city, crowded city urban disease. So, pwede bang ilimit yung 1B? Kasi mahirap hanapin yung 1B. Baka makahanap pa kami ni Vice Chair sa iba. Pero kung i-prioritize muna natin, Chris, dyan sa mga Metro Manila at Cebu, dun lang muna. Kasi dun malala. Ano kaya?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yes, Madam Senator, we will submit po a ranking po of priority areas to boost the transmitters po.
Focus lang tayo sa NCR at Cebu. Baka swertehin kami ni Vice Chair Dick Gordon at maipasok natin because I truly believe that you need the PTV. I mean, it's been doing a great job of updating us all. And I know Secretary Andanar is on air all hours of the day and night. So it's really important, lalo na sa NCR at Cebu sana. Kasi yung ibang lugar, hindi naman ganun kalala yung issue ng pandemya at hindi nila kailangan yung informasyon tungkol sa testing, treatment, isolation, etc. Pakisubmit na lang sa aking Vice Chair, po Senator Dick Gordon. Thank you very much. That's all.
Yes,
Thank you, Senator Marcos. I'd like just to follow up one of your questions. I'd like to be assured that, I visited Channel 4 several times during the time of Rami Diaz, and then again during the time of Rolly Reyes. And every time I go there, papakita sila ng bagong equipment. Pero ganun pa rin, hindi lumalaki, hindi lumalago, hindi lumalawak. Ba't ganun? Ano ba sagot doon? When was the last time you had, I saw huge satellite dishes, transmission, sinasabi sa akin, lalakas ang transmission natin, buong Pilipinas mako-cover. Ngayon, sinasabi niyo pa, may mga bundok, may mga harang. Hindi ko maintindihan yan eh. Kailan ba kayo lalakas talaga? At saka gano'n ba talaga ang lifetime ng transmitter ninyo na kailangan modernize? When do you modernize it? After 6 years? After 12 years? Ano ba talaga? Government channel yun eh. Ang problema dyan sige na sige, parang kabayo. Hindi na pinakakain, haplit lang na haplit. Kaya napapagod yung kabayan, bumabaksak na lang. Ganyan ba ang strategy natin sa Channel 4 at saka sa Bureau of Broadcast? Ang dami yung radio stations, hindi umaandar. Di ba, Mr. Apordetera?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chair.
Ilan ang hindi umaandar?
To date, we have 5 stations that are off the air, Mr. Chair.
Out of how many?
Out of 34 total, Mr. Chair.
And the 34, ano yung mga
low power is running at 13 stations, medium power 7, full power 9.
So talagang mahina.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yun ang tama yung Marcos sa inyo. Dapat bigyan nyo kung ano ipaprioritize nyo. Anong reach nyo, anong throw. Di ba? Unahin muna natin yan. Tama yun. Dito maraming tao sa Manila. Dito maraming tao sa Cebu. Yun ang doon kailangan na palaging pag dumating na doon sa urban area, ibabato na ng mga ibang istasyon yan eh. Dami-daming istasyon natin ng radyo eh. Siyempre, pag lumabas sa inyo yan, ibabato na yan ng ibang radio station. Tama ba yan? Buwang, tama ba?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. You're correct.
Danny, tama ba yan? In other words, you can maximize your current engineering capabilities and have a strategy para it will go all the way. And you don't have to have every place meron kayong bago. Kailangan lang talaga yung main transmitters nyo at yung content and programming. Kagad din, I heard from the Secretary kanina, we want to be able to compete with the private sector. Di ba sinabi mo? Or you want to be like the private sector, ever developing. Di ba, Secretary Andrea, you said that, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we would like to be able to operate like the private sector in terms of having updated equipment. For example, with the PBS, Mr. Chairman, I've visited their Albay station, and the transmitters that they have, Mr. Chairman, are transmitters that were built in the 70s during the time of President Ferdinand Marcos. Di tubo pa po. So pag nasira, hahanapin mo po yung tubo. Maghanap pa po kayo ng tubo.
But that's precisely the problem eh. Ginawa ni President Marcos yun, hindi tinuloy ng ibang kasama ninyo. Yun ang problema, yung continuity, yung consistency.
Tama po.
That's what I'm asking. I expect, and I'm sure Senator Marcos expects the same thing, na yung improvement ninyo is based on that, na lumalakas yung power, marami kayo natatamaan na tao, marami kayong kalidad na programming para talagang pagka malakas kayo, syempre, mas maganda ang budget nyo. Ako, prinsipyo ko, if you work hard and you perform well, you get more money.
Tama po, Mr. Chairman. Talagang napag-iwanan na po tayo ng panahon pagdating po sa transmitter. So for example, right now, Mr. Chairman, the advantage, I understand Senator Marcos's idea of strengthening Manila First and Cebu. But at the same time, when we upgrade our transmitter to digital transmitter, we might as well make the most out of it and have this digital transmitter go nationwide for the reason that, for example, Mr. Chairman, I know you understand this from your perspective as a chairman of the Philippine Red Cross, that we would need a broadcast disaster transmission system or emergency system, just like in Japan, Mr. Chairman. If something happens,
Civil defense. Civil defense is the one that's in charge of that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, but the frequency, Mr. Chairman, is owned by the People's Television and also Radio Pilipinas, wherein they use a certain
Correct.
Frequency. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So I guess the point of Senator Marcos and myself is to strengthen it. You have to know what you want to strengthen. You want to know what you want to expand, di ba? What you want to improve. Hindi yung baril lang tayo ng baril. Example, ako may criticism ako, kaya magagalit ha. Ang dami yung undersecretaries. Ang dami yung assistant secretaries. Ang dami yung general managers. Ako, you mentioned the Red Cross. Ako, I minimize expenses, not at the expense of manpower, but I get the people that I really need. In fact, siguro sa Red Cross, ang nagpapatakbo lang yan, 4 lang o 5 tao eh. The rest is nakako-communicate namin yung kwan. And besides, another suggestion, I'm sure Senator Amy will suggest this. This is the era, like I said, there are no borders. Yung inyong throw dito sa social media, dito sa, I was thinking of having an international Red Cross channel like Al Jazeera, because we have all these volunteers all over the world, and we can now broadcast anytime there's a disaster. Madali kami makakuha ng magre-report. In the Philippines, madali ko makakuha na nagre-report. Alam ko kagad na nanganak yung isang Solomon Islands na inaalagaan namin na may COVID at nanganak ng baby boy, dinala sa PGH. Magandang istorya yan. Pero makikipagbadyahan pa ka para lumabas yan. And that's something you can put up, di ba? Because very grateful yung Prime Minister ng Solomon Islands. But that's not the point. The point is you really have to choose where you want to fight. You cannot spend all your money in so many things. Senator Marcos, you have a comment?
Yes, may dagdag lang ako. Kasi sinabi nga ni ni Senator Gordon, yung gastos ninyo, kung analyze yung budget submitted, yung personal services and MOOE, nasa 1.4 billion. Samantalang yung budget ninyo, 1.5 lang. So 100 million na lang yata natira. Parang ganon. Kaya na, Ako
Tama po.
nagtataka kasi puro sahod at saka MOOE. And we are talking about engineering and we are asking you to focus on engineering sana. Doon tayo gumastos, tutok tayo sa engineering. Isang tabi mo na yung mga development, academy, yung DevCom, yung mga kung ano-ano. Tutok muna tayo doon sa pamimili ng equipment. Kaso mukhang tutok tayo sa sahod.
Tama po kayo, Mr. Chairman. As a matter of fact, doon po sa aming ginawang proposal na isinabit po namin sa DBM, nandun po lahat, Mr. Chairman, yung aming request for the upgrade of equipment of PTV, IBC, and PBS. And just to tell you a short story, Mr. Chairman, I was just in Region 10 where I am the Cabinet Officer for Regional Development and Peace. At nakausap ko po yung Regional Director po ng DepEd. Meron po kaming more than 1 million students po. Alam po yun ng Senator Subiri dyan po sa Region 10. And right now, during the time of the pandemic where we have the blended learning, only 20% of the 1 million students ang meron pong access sa internet. Now, ang problema po, Mr. Chairman, PBS, aming Radyo Pilipinas doon ay sira po yung transmitter dahil nga po sobrang luma na po at hindi po nag-ooperate. Number 2, wala po kaming presence ng IBC dahil sira din po yung transmitter. Ganoon din po sa PTV. Mahina din, wala din po kaming presence doon sa Cagayan de Oro. So kung ma-approve lang po yung aming request, ay masosolve po natin itong problema na ito na 20% lang yung may access sa internet by having broadcast facility ay mararating po natin sila, Mr. Chairman. Yung more than 800,000
That's our point. You
students.
can ride on that. And ang point natin, if you prioritize, you can ride on that. And I'm sure Senator Marcos, Senator Go, Senator Subiri, who's from Mindanao, and all of us here, we want information. That's the key. An informed citizenry is an enlightened citizenry. At kung hindi natin gagawin yan, talaga ang puro tayo forma, pero walang bato. Anyway, speaking about Senator Bato, I have his sparring partner here, Senator Go, who I called earlier. Senator Bongo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Senator Gordon. Go rin yan si Chairman Gordon. Go is Gordon.
You're so right. Go.
I am here before you today to express my full support for the proposed 2021 budget of the Presidential Communications Operations Office in these times of uncertainty brought about by the pandemic. Information is our best weapon against fear-mongering and public anxiety. It is for this reason that the role of the PCOO as the lead communications arm of the government is very crucial now more than ever. Through the PCOO, we were able to inform, educate, and enlighten the Filipino citizenry about matters of national importance, empowering them to deepen their civic engagement. Dahil po sa PCOO, nihatid natin ang maayos at organisado ang impormasyon kailangan ng tao tungkol sa mga proyekto, programa, at pulisiya ng gobyerno, lalo na ngayong kasagsagan ng pandemya. At napatunayan po ito nung nakaraang Marso kung saan po nagkaroon ng lockdown. Talagang double time po ang ating PTV4 and in fact kahit marami po naging positive sa kanila sa COVID-19 ay talagang tuloy-tuloy po ang kanilang trabaho po para makapagbigay po ng tamang impormasyon. Sa panahon ngayon na talamak ang pagkalat ng fake news at misinformation, hindi lamang tungkol sa COVID-19, kundi marami pang issue na riyan po ang PCOO upang magbigay ng kalinawan at tamang impormasyon para sa mga Pilipino. But let me also say that even before the pandemic, PCOO has played an important role in this administration. When I was still the Special Assistant to the President, Secretary Martin Andanar would share with me his plans for the communication agencies of the national government. And I can say that slowly but surely, those plans are coming to fruition. We now have a People's Television Network, which has greatly improved in terms of viewership and content. Congratulations sa kay sa bagong GM si Katkat na Chairman Alinio. Radyo ng Bayan that evolved into Radyo Pilipinas and a Philippine News Agency which can now compete with other newswire services. The PCOO has also made its presence felt outside of the nation's capital when it established its first satellite operations office in Davao City. Saksi po ako doon. And now, nearing completion is the PCOO's implementation, Mindanao Media Hub, as the overseer of the implementation of Executive Number 2, Series of 2016, or the Freedom of Information Program across the executive branch and all other FOI initiatives. The PCOO plays a significant role in strengthening our democracy. All these are affirmations of how the PCOO has utilized its funding to the fullest. And in fact, si Presidente po ang nag-inaugurate ng isang bagong building po sa Baguio ng PTB4 nung nakaraang 2 taon o 3 taon na po nakakaraan. Ang tanging hiling ko lang po sa PCOO ay siguraduhin natin na mabigyan ng tamang impormasyon ang ating mga kababayan. Ngayong may hinaharap tayong pandemya, the information you disseminate does not only ensure a well-informed and enlightened citizenry, it can also save lives in these times of crisis. Sa lahat po ng nasa PCOO, kahit na po marami kayong USEC at saka ASEC, alam ko naman pong nagtatrabaho kayo para sa ating kapwa Pilipino. Unahin nyo lang po yung serbisyo para sa ating kapwa Pilipino. Muli, buo ang aking suporta sa proposed budget ng PCOO. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Go, for your support. I'm always aware of the fact that you're enthusiastically trying to push the programs that will provide benefits for our people in terms of a well-informed citizenry, and even for health, especially health, which is your where you hang your suit onto. Let me just point out that and remind Secretary Andanar that I've always asked him for his modernization plan. In our last 2 meetings, I've asked that you submit to us yung modernization plan ninyo kung anong kailangan nyo para we can find money, as Senator Amy said a while ago, and I'm sure Senator Bongo will also support us. I'm all for that. I'm basically a communications person. My first job was with Procter & Gamble in the advertising department, or what they call brand. No? So I value the excellent communication. Wow, Philippines, sa tourism. With little money, we were able to project our country. So it's important that you give us your priorities. Ang nakukuha ko sa staff ko ngayon, pinapa-follow up nila kayo, hanggang ngayon wala pang binibigay. So I advise you and I admonish you na pagdating sa floor niyan, pag may nagtanong at hindi ko masagot, magagalit ako sa inyo. At kailangan malaman natin kung ano ipaprioritize. I think you should go back and take a look at that and maybe make suggestions on how you can modernize that. And I'm sure you'll get the support of all the senators here. Just one additional question, which I got from a text messenger from your organization. Meron raw issues of corruption na yung union raw kino-complain yan sa ITV. IBC 13. Are you aware of that? Meron ba talaga mga ganong problema? I'm sure meron, pero how bad is it? And what are we doing about it?
Mr. Chairman, may I ask OIC Coy to answer that question, because I've given her full authority to deal with that.
I'm sure she won't be coy in her answer. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to answer the union's complaints. Sir, the problem with IBC started when it was sequestered in 1986. Since 1986, we have had more than 20 sets of board of directors, and top management. So the continuity of decision making, policy making is absent. So nung pumasok po nung ma-sequester po ang IBC in 1986, IBC was number 1. And then due to the problem and the change of administrators every now and then, slowly nawala po yung mga programming, mga black timer namin.
Did you say
So,
IBC was number 1, Koy? I don't believe
Yes,
that.
sir. Sir, sir, from 1978 to 1988, IBC was consistently number 1.
IBC 13.
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Mindanao yan ng araw. Radio Mindanao Network pa ata yan, di ba? If I'm
Yes.
correctly.
Pero sa TV, talagang Channel 13 yung namamayagpag po nun.
I don't know. I seem to remember na nung panahon ng tatay ni Amy, lumakas siya mga yan, 9, 13, 4.
Correct.
Dahil syempre, kailangan mapaabot yan. Pero bakit nabitawan? This question is as good as saying in 1972, ang nagkukompete ng araw si President Marcos at saka si Lee Kuan Yew at saka si sa Korea, no? Si what's his face? Park Chung-hee. Tapos pumasok pa si Mahathir. And lamang tayo noon. Nung nawala na, wala nang continuity, wala nang panagsisihan na lang, fix the blame, walang fix the problem. So I've heard this all the time at I've been a senator. We keep fixing the blame, but we never fix the problem. So wala ba kayong solusyon? Yung corruption na yan. Totoo ba may corruption?
Sir, wala pong corruption sa IBC 13. Ang IBC po ay meron lang po kaming 7 managers at the moment. Wala po kaming presidente at the moment, sir. What we have received since 2008 na salary, yung pa rin po yung aming sweldo until now. We haven't implemented any salary increases without approval from the board of directors. And in 2008, sir, nagkaroon po kami ng CBA moratorium, CBA salary increases moratorium. Nagkaroon po ng agreement ang management noon at saka ang 2 unions of the IBC 13. So until now, sir, wala po kaming salary increases na ini-implement. So yun nga po rin ang hinihingi po ng union namin na magkaroon sila ng salary increase. Pero wala po kami, sir, corruption kasi wala po talagang pera na si IBC. Kasi since 2004, sir, nawalan po ng black time on prime time si IBC 13. So we all know that prime time is, yes, sir, good source of revenue. And then bumaba rin po ang aming power signal, especially starting 2017. When we transmitted at 1 kilowatt. So, nawala rin.
Priority rin yan. Kung yung gagawin yung prioritize ko, lalakas yan. And then I suggest you talk with your employees. Tell them the problem that you have to live together so we can get to where you want to be. So we can provide the salary that you want to give them, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, I just had my General Assembly with all the employees last week to explain to them the developments, especially in terms of the development of education, DepEd TV over IBC. So yun po yung aming ginagawa ngayon. We were able to fix our problem with our transmitter and we are now transmitting at 20 kilowatt.
That's good.
We are hoping to transmit by 25 kilowatt by next week. But still, sir, we really need your support in upgrading our tech transmitters, especially in Baguio, Cebu, and Davao, to improve our coverage for the DepEd programs.
Let me cut you off. I'm sorry that we have a limited time here, and I commend Mig Subiri, Senator Subiri, for being very patient because we go by whoever came in first, and now it's Senator Subiri's turn. Senator Subiri, go ahead, please, and ask your questions. The majority floor
Thank you,
leader.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My apologies. No, actually, sorry to cut off the explanation of the Undersecretary or the lady explaining. Actually, I'm just a short manifestation, Mr. President. Last week, I had an opportunity already to speak to Secretary Andanar. To Secretary Andanar, mayong ugto, sir, akong silingan. You know, he's going to retire in Northern Bukidnon, Chairman. He told me he's going to retire in Manolo Fortich in Bukidnon one day when he's no
Lovely
longer in
province.
government service.
Lovely
So we're
province.
looking forward to having him in the province.
Don't bring, don't bring too much tall buildings or those things that destroy the ambiance.
No, you know, the northern part of Bukidnon is a beautiful area. It's home to a lot of pine tree forest, and
Yeah.
we're excited to have the secretary retire in his new home in Bukidnon. But also to our dear colleagues in the PCOO, I see my igso, may kinakapatid, si Kat de Castro. Ayan si Kat, kinakapatid ko yan because her mom, was my ninang in my Manobo wedding in Bukidnon. And I'm so happy to
just a
see her
moment.
here.
I see a frantic raising of the hand by Senator Marcos. I don't know whether she's leaving or what. Go ahead, Senator Marcos.
Yes, please go ahead, ma'am.
Go ahead, Senator Marcos. You're recognized. You have to unmute.
You know what? I believe she's listening to the Department of Energy hearing. We're doing two multitasking. We also have a Department of Energy hearing going on
I'm sorry.
on the left side of the screen. So she's
Sorry
probably
for interrupting the Senator
yeah.
Mitch. Go ahead,
There
please.
you go. Yeah, she's probably raising her hand. I can see here in the Department of Energy hearing with the Secretary Kusi. This is multitasking. The beauty of having this internet age and online hearings, we can actually do several hearings at the same time. But although I really miss face-to-face hearings, Mr. Chairman, I really do miss that. But yes, I'm here to just manifest my full support to the PCOO. We had a briefing earlier last week, and we got their concerns, particularly on their advocacies. Yun lang, Chairman, I'll also move, just for the record, the committee level, then I'll work it out with Senator Sani on their building. They're building a communications center in Mindanao. And it's actually going to be in Bukidnon. Natatawa si Chairman.
So now you're laughing for it, eh?
Na-COVID yun. Na-COVID, Mr. Chairman. Like all budgets, even the DOE, I was getting the explanation of the secretary na COVID budget din sila, natanggalan sila ng budget. It was already there in the 2010 budget, but 2020, but unfortunately because of the pandemic, natanggalan sila. So I spoke to Senator Sani about it, our committee chair, the mother committee chair, and he says it's not a big amount, so he can work it out. So I just want to put that on record, Mr. Chairman, in the subcommittee, that I'll push for the amendment of the budget of the PCOO to include that particular center, which will be placed in northern Mindanao, which is I think ideal, Mr. Chairman, because Mindanao still needs to grow in terms of development, in terms of also spreading the good news of government to its people, because we still have an insurgency problem there, and we still have to convince the hearts and minds of our people there that government is doing something for them, is actually working for them. And so I fully support that amendment and initiative by Secretary Andanar, Mr. Chairman. And
to be honest, Senator Zubiri,
yes, sir.
I've really addressed that, and so has Senator Marcos. And the address relates to the fact that maybe they can spend the money or to increase the power or do something that they want to prioritize, because our view is that they can go and have a tie-up with UP in Mindanao, or UP in Manila, or UP in Quezon City, or UP in Los Baños, or the UP system. But if you and Senator Angara can give them additional money, I'm willing to support that. But I have to see that PCOO really becomes very effective in disseminating the information that our people badly need. So we are all in support of them, but they really have to prioritize. And Senator Andanar has to address my concern that I have not been favored with the request that I made so that we could have a more purchase on how to defend your budget, because kung magtatanong yung mga senador ng prioritization, baka hindi natin masagot yan, mabawasan pa kayo. All right?
Yeah. Tutulungan kita, Chairman. Don't worry. I'll help you when we discuss their budget with our colleagues. I also see...
I know you will help me all the time for so long as your real boss, Senator Drilon, allows you to do that.
Yes, sir. Don't worry. But we're Batman and Robin. You're Batman, I'm Robin. So don't worry, Chairman.
I know.
We will work it out with Senator Julon.
That's
I also
right.
like to give my regards to Yusek Ablan, who happens to be a good friend of, the father happens to be a good friend of ours,
Of
Tito
course.
Dick. Si,
Roquito, yeah. Red
oh,
Cross guy.
Roquito Ablan, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Bakit
yes, sir. So
Yusek
yun
ka
lang po.
naman? Dapat Yusek ka na. Lawyer ka eh. Di ba? Oh.
But, kabrad mo ba yan, Tito Dick? Or,
Upsilon yan pa yan, you know? So,
ay, he's
di ka
Upsilon yan.
makakapasok
He's
kung
Upsilon.
mahina ulo mo.
Ayun. Buti wala dito si Tito Frank. Kasi kung Tito Frank, baka pahirapan si Tito Frank.
Not all of us can be perfect, Mix.
So, buti walang Sigma Rho 1 na yun. Anyway, just to end my manifestation, I'm here to support the budget of Secretary Martin. He's a good friend of mine, my dear friend of mine. And, you know, they must be doing something right, Chairman, because the President, if to believe the Pulse Asia survey at a 91% approval rating of the President, that means the messaging is coming across to a lot of our Filipino brothers and
I have to hand
sisters.
it to Martin because was it you, Martin, who did that laging handa?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yes,
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman.
I thought that was a great idea. You know, bringing in people to explain what is happening, and that's good. That's good.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Chairman.
I had asked also, Chairman, I had asked also Secretary Martin to also highlight the achievements of the Senate. Now, if we have press releases, the senators and the Senate as an institution, they have a huge network of radio stations, PIA, Philippine Information Agency, Chairman. Pasa natin sa kanila yung information and they can spread out the good news. I think I appreciate that completely.
Just to give you an update on your training center, Cagayan de Oro, Xavier University is saying that PCOO is eyeing Government Communication Training Center in Xavier U. So that's a way of, you know, saving your money, having a tie-up with all this. But like I said, if Senator Zubiri is one of the most influential men in the Senate, can talk to another influential guy in the Senate by the name of Sani Angara, I'm sure you can get that. Tingnan natin. But alisto kayo, baka mamaya hanapan kayo ng ibang babawasan sa budget nyo. So make sure you better be clear on where you're going.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, may I just add, with your permission, that the Government Communications Academy will be located at the North Bukidnon, the new North
I know.
Bukidnon State College.
Is that in Kitanlad, Biggs?
No, that's actually Manolo Fortich. It's beside Cagayan de Oro. Beautiful campus, beautiful area. It's just actually a newly created. It's a newly created state college. I'm sorry.
Mount Kitanlad is in Bukidnon, right?
Yes, Mount Kitanglad is also in Manolo. It encompasses about 10 of our municipalities.
Yeah,
that's how large it is.
Yeah. I like it. It's one of my favorites.
And actually, if you put a tower on Mount Kitanglad, Chairman, if you put a tower there, you will be able to communicate the whole of Mindanao because Mount Kitanglad is the second tallest mountain in the Philippines. It's only about a few meters lower than Mount Apo. So, mataas yan. You can get the whole Mindanao if you have relay stations there.
I like to research that. I know Mount Pulad, I think it is, in northern Luzon. Mount
Pulag is shorter than Mount Kitanglad by 2 meters.
By 2 meters, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. That's good.
We had a challenge. We had a Mount Pulag, Mount Kitanglad challenge, and with the new GPS electronic and the new gadgets that they have now, we have been able to get the exact coordinates, and Mount Kitanglad is higher by about 2 meters from Mount Pulag.
We went up to Mount Pulad and burned all the marijuana plantations there at one time. I remember.
I hope you weren't breathing at the time, the chairman. If not, you would have been.
I'm always high. I aim high all the time. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So, I'd just like to put on record, I fully support the budget of PCOO, and if I can also make the motion later on in plenary to be able to increase the budget to include the training center that they want to put in Bukidnon. Maraming salamat, Chairman. And again, Sec Martin, mabuhay kayo. To the PCOO team, mabuhay po kayo lahat. And I hope to see you all soon. My kinakapatid, Kat, bye-bye. Thank you po.
Makes you better commiserate with the uncle of with the Secretary Andanar. His uncle died.
Oh yeah, Sec, I didn't know when I spoke to you that remember I told you about he passed away. Did he pass away, the one that we were
Yes.
talking about?
Yesterday, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, my deepest condolences. I had actually recommended medication of remdesivir to his uncle last week when we were talking about him. Sorry, Martin, namatay na pala. My deepest condolences, partner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And after you recommended the doctors at the NMMC, headed by Dr. Joe Chan, immediately gave my uncle the medicine that you recommended. But unfortunately, hanggang doon lang po talaga. Pero let me just manifest that my uncle was a former mayor of Santa Monica, Siargao. He was also a former board member of Surigao del Norte, the 1st District. And he retired as a police lieutenant colonel. He was a doctor. He served Caraga and so many regions, including regions in the Visayas. And when he retired, he continued his work as a public servant, as a doctor to the barrio. He was working at the rehabilitation hospital in one of the towns of Surigao del Norte.
Anomar.
Yeah, yes, Rumar. Yes, Senator. And unfortunately, he was able to. He was in contact. Unfortunately, he was in contact with one COVID patient as a frontliner. So he lived a full life.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Well,
No, it's about this memo.
our deepest condolences, Sec Martin. Our deepest condolences. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Senator Subiri. Again, this is the third time, Martin, have not reacted because we've been waylaid in terms of the conversation. Kindly send the information that I need and the other senators will need, insofar as your prioritizations are concerned. I know that you have to take care of your personnel. I know you have to take care of your maintenance, but senators would love to see that you succeed by having a more modern and certainly far-reaching what do you call it? Reach in terms of the media. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any senators there? I saw Senator Go raising his hand a while ago. Is Senator Go still there? Okay. There are some questions that I wanted to ask, which I asked recently. I just want to formalize it. But that was recorded also, di ba, yung last meeting natin? Yeah. Can you tell us, Secretary Andanar, give me a timeline on the different times that capital expenditure on transmission and modernization have been done, the number of times and how much? Would that be possible?
May I ask first Philippine Broadcasting Service, Bonga Portadera, to enlighten us with the last with that question. When was the last time you had a transmission upgrade? Oh.
No. I'm talking about a timeline because I mentioned two of the Bureau broadcasts. Rami Diaz, Channel 4, he was said before, and then you had Rolly Reyes, the late Rolly. Both of them expired already. And both of them are dear friends of mine. That's why I was brought there. And at that time, there was a lot of modernization going on. But ganun pa rin eh. Hindi pa rin umangat. Hindi na fire in 3-stage rocket niyo hanggang first stage lang. So you really have to find out so that I can answer that if I'm asked Yun, para sa ganun.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I will ask GM Kat De Castro and Director Bonga Portadera to prepare the timeline of transmitter upgrades of both agencies.
I think Senator Pimentel was going to ask this question, so I'm not going to ask him. Can you call Senator Pimentel already so we can ask him on the matter of National Printing Office? I think there were some questions about that. The COA had flagged the National Printing Office for engaging with 12 private printers with work orders worth 121 million without any valid contract. I'm sure Senator Pimentel's questions will be on that aspect. We're trying to get him now. Ang napadala nyo sa akin yung mga telephone numbers ng mga tao nyo pero hindi nyo napadala yung modernization plan.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask ASEC Chris Ablan?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We submitted po modernization for IBC. We will follow up po the other modernization plans of other PCO agencies within this week, sir.
Yeah. 1 minute. Coco? Are you going to move to approve the budget? Are you going to ask on the floor? I'm also asking about the baka magtatanong ka dun sa National Printing Office, di ba? Sige. Okay. Thank you. Are there any other things that you gentlemen and ladies would like to propagate? I'm sorry, I had to cut you off because there were a number of senators wanting to come out. Coy, do you want to say something about the IBC?
Sir, we had a very good start of our DepEd programs last October 5. We continue to air our DepEd programs Monday to Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But we are hoping, sir, for your assistance in providing for the technical upgrade of at least the phase 1 of IBC transmitters, especially Metro Manila, Baguio, Cebu, and Davao. If we are able to...
For the education aspect.
Yes, sir, very much.
So you send me a report on that, and we will ask Senator Angara, who's head of the Finance Committee, to make sure that we are able to make the adjustments. You have to also look with Secretary Andarar kung anong ibabawas ninyo o may dadagdag ninyo at para sa ganun, we can get some of the things that you really badly need.
Thank you very much, sir.
Would that be crucial? I suppose it will be crucial. How many more
Yes.
students will you be able to reach if you modernize your facilities in IBC 13?
Sir, if we are able to modernize at least the phase 1, we'll be able to reach 18.2 million households or 35.6 million population, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
That should be something that we must prioritize. Therefore, I would prioritize that. Unless you have other information that you withheld, sounds good to me that we should support that.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Assistant Secretary Ablan, you should be able to find out what else you can have the Secretary find out kung saan pa kayo magpa-prioritize. Like sa Bureau of Broadcast, Bong Apordadera, do you need to fix up all those stations? Okay, Kat, are you okay sa Channel 4 ba yan?
Mr. Chair, BB.
Go ahead, Kat.
Yes po, for PTV po, we would definitely need subsidy po in terms of powering up or widening the reach of our present stations po, Senator.
In the area of how much?
If we are going to retrofit one transmitter, sir, we would more or less need 30.
One transmitter. I'm asking about what you essentially need.
Most of the transmitters po or the stations that we have right now, papalawakin lang po namin yung kilowatt namin, Mr. Senator.
Ano ba average ang kilowatt niyo?
Right now, nasa Except for Manila po, at the most po nasa 10 kilowatt lang po ang mga provincial
Your
stations po
plan is to
natin.
go 25, ganun ba?
Yes po.
And how much would that entail? How many
According-
transmitters? 30 transmitters, no?
We would just need to power up po the present transmitters. We would need po some more to put into that ano po, pag-retrofit po ng mga towers.
Do you have a figure?
Yes po, it's going to cost us more or less 30 million po per station.
And how many stations are we talking about?
We are talking about 12 stations po, Senator.
So can you send me a memo to that effect?
Yes po, Mr. Chair. I'll do that, sir.
Secretary Martin, can you have your people send it to me and we can discuss it so we can look for money for that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We'll have it done immediately.
Raising your hand. Join the fray.
Yes, Mr. Chair. For the part of BBS when we submitted the initial, it was prior to COVID, the initial request was 113.5 million sana for all 27 stations to be retrofitted with new transmitters. But apparently this was also not being granted to us when we submitted it, Mr. Chair.
Well, to me, this should be the best time to do it because you have a situation that can get extended. COVID is having a comeback in Korea, in Italy, in Spain. In fact, you should take advantage of that, Secretary Martin, and announce to the public that the world has not licked COVID, and that is why you want to set up a better communication facility so people can be reached more, di ba? That would be a good opportunity to ask money from the Congress, di ba? What do you think?
You're correct, Mr. Chairman.
I know I'm correct, but what do you think? Do you think you can handle it? you can put out all these different amounts of money. Can you make sure that you are realign some of the funds that you think should not really be prioritized right away, and put it on the essential things like education and fighting future diseases? Yung sa weather, kaya na yan eh. May mga private stations na makakayanan yan. At you're all doing a good job anyway with that. But with this one on education, which is badly needed, I think we can push for that. Magkano yan? 18, magkano yung coin? Magkano sabi mo? 18 ba? 18 million?
Sir, for phase 1, 468 million pesos, sir.
468 million.
Yes, sir. Manila, Cebu, Davao, and Baguio.
Yung apat lang yon.
Yes, sir.
Wow. And that will reach 18 million students.
Yes, sir.
18 million students na sinasabi ko.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, we'll try. We'll try. But you have to help me out. What you put in, you have to put out in some other programs that you have.
We'll definitely do, sir.
Okay. There have been an earlier motion by Senator Subiri. Yes, Ms. Badoy.
Mr. Chair, just in case red tagging is brought up, I'd like to inform you that we were already actually brought to court by the NUJP, Gabriela, Rural Missionaries, and all that. And up to the Supreme Court, the ruling was that there is no, the threat is not real, and it must not, and it's based on amorphous grounds, and that it was found, the ruling of the Supreme Court is that membership into an organization red tag is not an actionable threat, and it was dismissed for lack of evidence. And
Right.
And that red tagging is really yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that red tagging is really actually a word that the CPP, NPA, and the F coined. It's not a real word.
But that's why I was trying to balance out the other side of the coin. You know, they will say they're being red tagged so that they get the attention of the public, and they do get the attention of the public. Kung talagang tama yan, then we'll go after you. But hindi naman totoo yan eh. Tingin ko hindi totoo eh.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court has already
spoken.
spoken.
Yeah.
Are there any other concerns? Senator Amy, do you have any more concerns? You have to unmute.
Sorry. Yes, merely to support my vice chairman's concern that we're dying to give PCOO more money, but you have to be more coherent about your request and more focused, because we think we can justify an addition or augmentation of the budget given the COVID situation. Thank you.
Thank you. There you go. See? Andiyan na lahat yung suporta na kailangan niyo. Kayo na lang ang gagawa ng hard work, no? Dapat you have to lift your burden and address it to us so we can address it, because we think it's a good plan to put in more money so that we can have the poor well educated, especially during this time. Yun lang mayayamang eskwela nakakapag gamit ng video or computers. Sa probinsya wala yan. So paano ba mag-work yan? Can you tell me, Koy, how it will work? IBC 13 will come out with the lessons that are going to be taught. Ganun ba yan? And they're just gonna watch it on TV? Parang education on TV ng araw?
Sir, what we are doing now is DepEd produce the content. They deliver it to us for angels and for airing. So IBC's participation is to broadcast all the DepEd materials over free TV of IBC.
You see, alam niyo, tingnan niyo ito, blended learning project. What is that? Whiskey? You have to come out with something that will be understood by the public. Blended learning project. Kaya pinatanong ko yan, alam ko naman ang ibig sabihin yan. Kaya sabi ko, ETV. Anong araw sa atin meron kaming education on TV, that was an experiment. You should be able to explain that more aggressively. And I don't think anybody can disagree with that, di ba? And you need it to have a clearer signal.
Yes, sir.
More coherent signal. Lahat
Sir,
ng article ilagay nyo.
Sir,
Lahat ng senador gusto matuto ang Pilipino. We want to compete already. All right?
Yes, sir.
We should not be set back by this COVID. Okay, anything else? Upon motion, therefore, of Senator Subiri.
Seconded.
And I'm sorry, I was going to say, Senator Marcos, nauna nga pala. Inuna ko lang dahil majority floor leader yan.
Okay lang.
Okay lang. If Senator Marcos has also moved and declared that the budget of the PCOO and its attached agencies are hereby submitted to the plenary subject to completion of documentation that is required and the adjusted modernization plan that you have, para we can adjust on the ground, on the plenary as we go along. All right? Okay. So at this time, we thank Senator Marcos and all the other senators, Senator Subiri, Senator Go, and Senator Pimentel. And on the part of the vice chair or the chairman for this particular committee, I say, ego te absolvo, apecatis tuis, in nomine Patri, et Spiritus Santo. Just practicing my Latin. Anyway, so get in there and move PCO. You've got our support.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks, Senator Marcos, ang fan nyo, at saka sila ko.
Thank you, Senator Marcos. Thank you, Senator Pimentel, Senator Go. Salamat po. Senator Zubiri, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. The rest of the day should be a good day. Lorraine, how's your dad? Okay ba? You have an uncle who is a good friend of mine.
My dad,
Historical Commission.
Yes. My father was your teacher, was your law professor.
Who?
My father.
Yeah, I know, but he was in UP.
Yeah. San Beda.
San
But he
Beda.
also taught in yes. And he's okay.
Teacher siya ni President Duterte.
Oo, sir.
Tama. And how is your uncle from the Historical Institute?
He's okay naman, sir. He's okay. He's healing. Yeah, he had a stroke.
Yeah, I've been trying to help in my little way.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. All right. Thank you all very much and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. Stay safe po.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you po.
Thank you, Chairman.
Stay safe.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, I've already started my